particular episode, looking more at a more wholesome approach to lung disease. On set with me today is Dr. Onoha. Again, he is the Chief Consultant Physician at Gwarinpa General Hospital, and he has generously given up his time to come and discuss and educate us. So thank you, sir, again for coming on stage to speak about this. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
So last time we really had a good time talking about all these different conditions and all that. And as you and I, we always say, it's one thing for the patient to come to the hospital. We know that very many don't even come to the hospital when they have all these conditions. So it's extremely important for us to be able to give them information that they can use. It's not that we're trying to say don't come to the hospital, of course not, but we are also facing reality that many of them will not come. And so we need to give them the information that they can use to live healthfully. But in addition, there are those who come to the hospital and basically they just think, whatever my doctor tells me, that's all I'm going to do, not realizing that they have a part to play in the progression or otherwise
the
of their
journey
disease.
towards health.
The journey, thank you, I like that better, the journey towards health. So, and lung disease is extremely important. So let's talk about the general lifestyle conditions that you have seen in your many, many years of practicing that affect not just lung health, but overall health.
Okay.
Good and bad.
Thank you very much. This is a topic I really enjoy discussing. Because coming on TV to talk on diseases and symptoms and mortality, it tends to project fear into the society. And so because there's very little we can do about that, but when we discuss lifestyle, we hand back power into the people. So what you can do to benefit your health. And actually, lifestyle is, disease is about balance. Life is a balance, but life is always seeking balance. And when it's out of balance, then you talk about sickness, diseases. Okay? So when people go to hospital, we should be telling them of what they did wrong or what they were doing wrong that made them to have these diseases. Not just giving them drugs and treatment and they go back to continue what they did that brought the disease. Because how many people were born with hypertension, for example? How many people were born with diabetes? How many people were born with osteoarthritis? But all these things come after some years. Okay?
Wrong steps.
Yes, exactly. So if it's something that, okay, it's innate with man, then some people will be born with them. But you see a 12-year-old, you don't see them with those kind of disease. But by the time they get to 30, 35, 40, depending on maybe their own family genetics and also their lifestyle, they begin to have all this. So I talked about balance. This is the way I have come to look at it. Everything God created, I think all energy is manifested via masculine or feminine. Okay? Your battery, car battery, it has masculine and feminine, positive and feminine. And you have to combine them for current to flow and for them to be useful. So the same thing, everything is two-faced. And anything you see, you can divide that into two. What is here is what is here. Look at you now. This one, there's a hand here, there's a hand here. Look at your face, there's one eye there, one eye. Even your nose, that is one. There's one nostril here. So there's always two aspects. Okay? So now, and the two aspects, one is masculine, one is feminine. Like my hand now, right hand, I'm right-handed, so this is my masculine hand, this is my feminine hand. Let me not take a lot of time, let me just calm down. Now, food is divided into, I divide food into masculine and feminine food. Okay. If you look at people who tend to eat only masculine food, what's masculine food? Energy-giving food. Because it tends to give you power to run around and all that, and that has to do with masculine.
Okay.
So energy-giving food, they contain sugar. They are sweet, and so we like them. And example being fruits, all cooked food, all packaged food. wheat pies and those. No. But the best is fruits among them.
Okay.
Then,
because that's natural.
so then cooked food. Once in a while you can take the other one, but don't let it be on a daily, regular basis.
Okay.
If you go to a party, you can take all those packaged things, but don't let it be weekly or daily. Now, the cooked, these are masculine food. Now, they give you energy. They also do something else. They contribute to inflammation. They cause inflammation in your body.
They both give you energy and cause inflammation.
And cause inflammation. And inflammation is actually the driver of diseases. So now, feminine food tends to counter this. It reduces the sugar that you get from masculine food, and it also reduces inflammation. What are these? They are not sweet. They are either tasteless or bitter. Only carrot is is feminine food that is sweet. These are raw vegetables.
Okay.
So look at yourself. What did you eat yesterday? In the morning, I bet masculine food.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, masculine food.
Yeah.
In the evening, masculine food.
No, we are Africans. We
There's
eat
even the Africans, our forefathers used to combine it. They ate raw.
Okay.
They took a lot of vegetables. They took fruits. But we have just only cooked food, and we overcook. When they cook, they mildly cook. They use firewood. They use clay pots that is thick. The firewood is yellow flame. Okay. But we use blue flame. You know, in our chemistry, the hottest part of the flame
is the blue.
Is the blue flame.
Yeah.
The yellow one is not as hot. What flame do we use to cook? Blue flame. What do we use? Is it thick pot? No, we use very thin pot, and we overcook and destroy the nutrients in those
You're
food.
pointing out things that we have no idea. This is very foreign to us, really, for the most part. Okay, but. Okay, welcome back. And we've been talking about female foods and male foods.
Yeah.
Okay. And by that you meant energy-rich foods or energy-dense foods, and then nutrient-dense foods. And the male one is energy-dense, and then the female one is the nutrient-dense foods. Okay. And also we talked about the preparation of the foods, that we generally tend to overcook our foods. I mean, we don't even take, I don't know, I mean, many people who take raw vegetables on a regular basis. Almost nobody does. But even when we take vegetables, we really cook them, and we cook them over again and again and again, which means that the nutrients that we need to have are being extracted and removed from the foods, making us unable to do what? Fight infection? What else? Detoxify, heal the body, and all those things. So that's what makes us more prone to these conditions that we've talked about. Okay, how does that relate to something like asthma, for instance?
Thank you very much. Let me quickly, because this female and male food, people will say, what's that? But it's something I just coined out. That I looked at the nature of food and what they do to the body, and how to make my patient to be able to understand, because diabetic patients and many patients that need to eat correctly, they are so bombarded with all manners of eat this, don't eat this, so they get to a point of confusion.
Yeah. So
I need to classify them into two very easy to remember classes. Masculine, I looked at the ones like energy-giving food. And energy-giving foods are pro-inflammatory. They lead to more inflammatory responses. And then the nutrient-giving food. So when I look at the nutrient-giving food are mainly raw vegetables.
So basically, all you've said, sir, is that the foods that we enjoy eating,
most of them are because we tend to be more sensual.
Yeah.
Tasty, is sweet. I'll eat it. It's not sweet, no, but life is not all sweet.
True.
But also you need to balance things. So you need to eat sweet food, yes. For energy, you need to eat tasteless and bitter food for the detoxifying effect, and also for the cleansing and the anti-inflammatory, anti-sugar effect. All these are loaded. Anti-aging effect.
Yeah.
All these are loaded in the feminine food. You know, new life tends to come from women. So, and the feminine food are the ones that help your body to regenerate the cells that have been damaged when you are in the masculine phase of life when you're moving around, like in the daytime, or the nighttime. I also call that the feminine phase. So, and that is the phase of healing and renewal.
Okay.
In the evening, night period.
Rest
and that's
and
not the time to eat.
Yeah.
So that's the time to allow the body to clean the body, to detoxify, to rest, and to renew energy and cells.
Okay.
Okay. So if you, like, there's a study I read that they were looking at families that have this breast cancer gene, and they were looking at what's common to them in terms of their lifestyle. Those who have the disease and the age-matched group that don't have the disease but from the same family, and they found something interesting. The ones with the cancer, that had the cancer, didn't care about time of eating. So it meant when they go back at home, 10 p.m. they will eat, 12 o'clock they will eat, anytime. But they found something interesting among those who didn't have the disease. They don't eat anyhow. They had at least 13 hours overnight fast.
Really?
Yeah. So that, the body doesn't do much metabolism. It's just like maybe a shop owner who calls the people where he has paid for the goods, "Oh, bring my goods." Meanwhile, his people are closing. And then by the time they get there, the workers have gone. The transporter will just drop the thing in front of his shop and go. What happens to those stuff before morning? Area boys, thieves will help themselves. So when you eat in the night, when your body should be resting, yes, you break down to have the sugar, but the sugar will not be consumed. So you have a lot of sugar in the blood. Okay, but before morning, what happens? Organisms that find their way into your system will have field day, and your immune system too is resting. And then if cancer happens to be in the body at that time, you will feast. So cancer tends to grow well at night. Okay, so by morning it will grow. To tomorrow night again, if you do the same thing, you can see over years, then you know have clinical manifestation of, for example, cancer.
So it doesn't happen overnight.
So it's not something that just happens in a few days. It happens months and years of wrong living, because you are doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. You are putting masculine food. Eating actually is also a masculine activity. So in the feminine phase, in the night, you're not supposed to be eating, you're supposed to be calm and dislodge your mind from all the office activities so that you can sleep. And that's why some people also don't sleep, because when they are in their house at night, in the evening at night, they are also playing all the things that has happened during the day, and they are telling you they can't sleep. Why can't you can't sleep? Because sleeping is a passive activity. Okay, you don't look for sleep. Looking for is an active thing. When you are looking for sleep, you will not sleep. So you need to remove your mind from this and begin to switch off. Yeah. Nobody knows exactly at what time he sleeps, because you just lie down when you're not bothered about anything. You don't even know when you sleep. So we just have to package all this in, let it be easy to the people, to the patients, and the patient will be able to, before you know it, when they come back the next time, their numbers, the test you do, will have better results.
So you've actually experienced this with your patients once they begin to practice what you are talking about. Do you have any specific examples you can quickly share with us before the break?
Not just one specific. I have a number of patients who are diabetic, and then you introduce this masculine, feminine thing, and then the blood sugar begins to come down. Yeah, the blood sugar comes down. I have patients who have ulcer, and they're having difficulties in controlling, because if the sugar doesn't get controlled, the ulcer will not heal.
Yes.
And by the time we tell them about, okay, eat vegetables before you eat your cooked food, if they do it within a few days, we begin to have good numbers.
Really?
And so
days?
Yes. Yes, within a few days, we begin to have good numbers. And then we rarely amputate in our hospital.
Wow.
We rarely need to amputate people who have ulcers. And those who have ulcers are not people, they're not our patients, they are people who come from outside. Our patients don't have those because most of them are well controlled, mainly because of this emphasis and then simplification of lifestyle.
That's incredible. That's remarkable. Wow. Thank you, sir. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll be back for the third and final segment. Welcome back. All right. This last segment, we have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to get right back into it. By the way, his phone number, Dr. Noah's phone number, will be on the screen for you to contact him if you need to. We talked about lifestyle factors, and one of the guests, one of the crew was asking about eating at night, what not to eat, or what to eat. I know your rule is don't eat anything after 6 o'clock, right? But if we must eat, most people will have to eat something. What is better to eat? Before I go to my next question.
Okay. I think because of people's lifestyle, in terms of the job they do when they close, when they get home, they tend to get home late and they have to eat. But the body doesn't care. Whatever reason why you are eating late is still detrimental to the body. However, if you must eat, let it be something that is once in a while, not as a rule that every day you must eat at this point. That once in a while, it's also safer to eat raw vegetables like salad, garden egg, a little calorie, so you take your carrot with it. That is better if you have to eat after 6 p.m. Because eating things with sugar, inflammatory, and the body is not ready to consume the sugar that you're also loading into the system, and you don't even really need much sugar. So just to fill your tummy and switch off the hunger signals. So vegetable will be okay with water.
That's not much fun, but you heard it, folks.
That's why people are sick, because they tend to prefer to eat the ones that are pro-inflammatory and help them to have disease without the balance.
Why should life? Why is life like that? That the good things, the things that you enjoy, are not the good things, where the things that you don't enjoy are the. Well, I'm sure our bodies will get used to it over time as we start to practice.
You call it the good things. Well, the things you enjoy.
The things we enjoy.
The
maybe
things are not necessarily sweet.
In fact, they say if it's bitter, it must be good for you. That's what they say. All right, sir. So let's talk about some of these lung disorders and how this lifestyle factors that we were talking about can relate to things like asthma and pneumonia. And
yes, like the example you asked me, I mentioned diabetes, because that's the one that can easily be influenced by lifestyle. That you will see all of them are influenced. All the diseases are, including cancer. But the one with the fastest manifestation is diabetes. Asthma, however, is also affected by lifestyle. One of my nephews had asthma, and he was out of control. So I told the mom, give him vegetable juice, add apple, because for a child they need something sweet. So the vegetable without apple, you will throw it up. So we add apple, okay, something to sweeten it. And they was giving this boy that. Eventually he got under control, and after a while, he used to attend youth then. The pediatricians in the hospital told her after a while that don't bother, don't bring him again.
Wow.
And this boy is an undergraduate now. I don't think he still have an issue. The last time I heard that he had an issue was when their school, he was in a school bus, they were going for a visit or so, and the hold up of Lagos. This trailer was puffing his exhaust into the bus. I think that was the last time that
triggered
an attack. So, but by and by,
what kind of vegetable? Do you know what kind of vegetable? So she basically she ground the vegetable.
Yes.
She blended the vegetable.
She can blend. Usually blend. It's better to blend.
Do you know which ones she used?
I don't know exactly which ones she used, but it's food. It's not medicinal herbs.
Okay.
just the food, the basic food. And what I'm talking about, I'm not a herbalist. What I'm talking about is
he's a pulmonologist, not a herbalist.
The raw vegetables, lettuce, cabbage, even ugu, moringa, any raw vegetable that's edible. So you can blend it with other colorful vegetables like tomatoes, onions, put them together. Okay? And if it's a child, add some sweetening stuff like apple, okay, or banana, and then you blend it and they can eat. So that on a daily, regular basis, you'll be surprised what you get. Not only that, they tend to refer difficult cases of asthma to me. And yes, but in terms of drugs, some of them have been seeing doctors abroad, so they have all those drugs, but yet they're not getting control. The thing I add to them that makes them get control is to focus on the lifestyle and the food. And sometimes there's a lady, she was still having issues until I asked her, how's the wall of your house? Do you have molds? And yes, they have molds. The plumbing, when plumbing is bad, it tends to grow molds.
Right,
sometimes the wardrobe, maybe there are molds in there, maybe there are clothes that you are not using. Then when you go there to search for what you're going to wear,
all the dust and the mold comes.
All those molds come in and then it keep happening. So by the time I told them to clean up the house, fix the plumbing, and then repaint the house, they went out. She had to relocate for some time. After they did all that and returned, that was the end of it.
They never had again.
Was this I've not seen her for a long time.
And this was an adult?
Yeah, that's an adult.
Were the kids having the issue as well?
No, her kids.
Okay, but she's asthmatic. Yeah. She was okay. That's interesting. So these are all...
the things that you think that you're focused on your drug and keep buying drug and...
Have you tried to educate your colleagues about this?
Yes, I do. I think last week I gave a lecture to NMA.
Okay, Nigerian Medical Association.
Yes, doctors, and it was lifestyle.
Really? So how was it received?
It was well received,
really?
Surprisingly. One of the doctors walked up to me later and said, he just didn't want to make trouble, but it's not medical.
It's not medical.
It's not medical. So medical has just been taking drugs. No, whichever way, and that's not illegal.
Yeah.
That will get my patient to wellness. I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be through prescribing drugs.
Absolutely.
That's part of what we do. See, health, initially, medicine started with these lifestyle components.
Right.
The problem they had at that time was that these virulent diseases, because lifestyle components tend to be slow. By the time somebody had a virulent infection before the lifestyle thing, we're dying. And so they didn't have answer for that part of it. And when they discovered pharmaceuticals,
like medicine,
oh, wonderful. So these people were now surviving. But the error was to now abandon this other lifestyle stuff and focus on the magic of pharmaceuticals. Now we're getting to the end of pharmaceuticals. The other day I was with pharmacists and they were discussing the future of antibiotics. You will be scared if you don't know about lifestyle.
You're probably talking about antimicrobial.
Yeah, they were talking about the resistance and all that, and the hopelessness of the future. Because sometimes drug is still in the lab, or you just bring a new drug into the society before 1 month, they are getting resistance, and they spend so much money to develop those antibiotics.
So what Dr. Noah is saying is that there is no choice here. We must consider the lifestyle factors, and again, it's your responsibility to do that. Too bad we've come to the end of the time we have left is all gone. Doc, thank you so much again for making it here. I hope you make time to come again, over and over and over again, because this is a lot. There's a lot that we need to pass on to our people out there. So we appreciate you again, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So folks, don't forget to join us next week. Remember sending your questions, and we will see you next week. God bless.
This is the network service of the NTA.
It is my pleasure to have you join us on the program from the National Assembly. In this edition, we are bringing you the first segment of the public hearing by the House Ad Hoc Committee investigating the low performance of the Nigerian Eastern ports. The constitution of the House Ad Hoc Committee followed the adoption of the House of Representatives votes and proceedings of Thursday, the 18th of July 2019. And the House also has the mandate to ascertain the underutilization of these eastern ports, which include the One port, the Calabar port, Port Harcourt port, and also the Onitsha port, and also find a way of decongesting the Apapa Tinkan ports of Lagos State and make adequate recommendations to the House for further legislative action. Welcome to the program. I am Kenneth Nan. The Apapa and Tinkan ports of Lagos have become overwhelmed with freight surge and other seaport activities posing various economic challenges, while the eastern ports are underutilized. By this interface with relevant stakeholders and the House Ad Hoc Committee, the legislature is complementing the effort of the Presidential Task Team in finding lasting solution to the situation that has become a national embarrassment.
This exercise is organized to query and to determine why some of our port complexes have continued to operate below their setting-up capacities. It also seeks to question why, in spite of many efforts of government over the years, which have come by way of building more port complexes, concessioning, and the complete involvement of the private sector in some aspects of operation in our nation's maritime subsector, the congestion in the Lagos port complexes in Apapa and Tinkan Island still persists. What this means is that about 5 inland port complexes in Wari, Delta State, in Calabar, Cross River State, in Onitsha, Anambra State, and in Port Harcourt, River State, as well as in One, have all failed to provide alternative or even consummate services to aid the decongestion of the 2 Lagos port complexes. Faced with the grim reality of the above and worried by the increasing loss of man-hours and the untold hardship with its resultant loss of revenue that business owners, commuters, shipping and haulage companies suffer in some parts of Lagos as a result of the hydra-headed monster called traffic gridlock arising from congestion in the 2 port complexes, the House of Representatives, via the votes and proceedings of Thursday, July 18, 2019, resolved to set up this ad hoc committee. As expected, once formed, this committee hit the ground running by undertaking all the needful and inviting you all, who we understand are the critical stakeholders in our nation's maritime industry. It is our belief and utmost conviction that we must deliver on the mandate given to the committee by the House. You all must be involved to help and proffer solutions to what has not only become a dangerous reality of everyday life in the commercial capital city of Lagos, but has also become a national embarrassment for international visitors and users of the Lagos port complexes. Dangerous and embarrassing. Yes, or how else does one describe a situation that has defied the efforts of a state like Lagos and has the capacity to lock down the commercial city completely while encouraging the activities of criminal elements and touts and compelling ultimately the attention of the nation's president, who had responded by setting up a presidential tax team. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me therefore, on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker, the entire leadership of the House of Representatives, and indeed the members of this committee, thank you all for answering this call to service. I wish to assure you that, having come to be part of the solution to this national problem, crying for urgent attention, your sacrifice for national progress has been noted and will never be in vain. As you all know, the invitation that was sent to you had requested that you furnish this committee with information in soft and hard copies about a week ago. It is our hope that we all have complied with that requirement. Going forward, we had also requested that all invited organizations, institutions, and groups be represented by their heads. The reason for the above is not far-fetched. While we may not, by that request, wish to question the competency or capacity of any of your staff to represent your organization, it goes without saying that there is a limit to what such a member of staff can say or do in this kind of situation, as against what the Chief Executive Officer can say or do. In insisting on this, we have, as it were, sought to ensure that all presentations here have emanated from the highest level of corporate responsibility and authority of each of your organizations. I therefore call on you to interact freely with us, knowing fully well that the essence of this public hearing is never to apportion blame or indict anyone, but to identify ways and means to redress a systemic wrong that is costing the nation time and other enormous resources. Following from that, as you may well know, parliaments everywhere in the world enjoy certain privileges, rights, and protection. Whatever we say, and to an extent, what we do here, for instance, can hardly be used against us anywhere. Consequent upon this, I invite you to be open and frank in all your presentations. Give us the benefit of what you know and think can be deployed into solving the challenge at hand. Already on our own, as Nigerians and lawmakers, we have heard and read what every concerned Nigerian knows about the situation in our port complexes, all of those being in the public domain. But we will be relying on you, our noble stakeholders, in the maritime game to point for us the way forward in all of this. Once again, Your Excellencies, honorable colleagues, Chief Executive Officers of various organizations, institutions, and groups in the maritime industry across the country, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself and members of this committee, I usher us into the business of the day to find solutions that are aimed at making the inland port complexes work at their full capacities and help to decongest the Lagos port complexes in order to give a new lease of life to all those who have constant reasons to visit Apapa and the areas around Tinkan Island in Lagos.
I have the responsibility to simply present Mr. Speaker's speech on this occasion and to declare open this activity. But however, I want to quickly share my personal experience as a young man growing up in Warri, Delta State. I recall that as a young secondary school leaver, a few persons got jobs And some of us were not fortunate to get jobs immediately. And we had the option of quickly pursuing further education. But between admission and the period of graduation from secondary school, I remember how we go to NPA Warri, to do day job. And we compared our income with some of our colleagues who graduated and got jobs. At the end of the day, they were actually not better than us because the opportunities were there. NPA was, a beehive of activity at the time. Ships were always around, a lot of work to do. And at that time, I can tell you vividly here that we never had the level of, crime and criminality that happens in most of those cities today, because almost everybody was engaged one way or the other. But those opportunities are no longer there today. On that note, permit me to present the speech of Mr. Speaker as follows. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the inauguration of this committee and the commencement of a public hearing to determine why the seaports of Warri, Port Harcourt, Calabar, Onne, and Onitsha Land Port are failing to meet the expectations we all hold of them. This ad hoc committee has been constituted with a very specific mandate to investigate the reasons why these ports are not being used to maximum effect, especially at this time when Apapa and Tinkan ports are so overwhelmed and are verily at their breaking points. Flowing from that, it is the responsibility of this committee to deliver a policy framework and make substantive proposals for legislative and executive actions to drive the increased utilization of these ports for the socioeconomic benefit of Nigerian people. The Nigerian maritime sector regrettably remains one of our great untapped economic reserves. Operating and maintaining efficient and functional ports in the country will help to develop the economic potential of these communities where these ports are located, and even further afield. Also, as importantly, getting these ports working at capacity says to the world, to the potential investors and trading partners, that we are open and ready for business. There is no punitive agenda behind the appointment and mandate of this committee, as Chairman has also mentioned. That is not to say, however, that if in the course of this committee's activity, malfeasance or corruption is identified, we would ignore it or overlook it. To do that will, of course, be an inconceivable betrayal of the trust of the Nigerian people. Nonetheless, our priority is to get these ports working at their absolute best, creating jobs, facilitating trade, attracting investment, and contributing to the steady growth of our country's gross domestic product. I invite all the Nigerian people and stakeholders in the industry to assist the committee in the execution of this urgent national assignment. It is from the collation and analysis of your various expert ideas and contributions, perspectives, and expertise that the committee will be able to make the right recommendations and guide this House of Representatives in our efforts to support the full utilization of these very important national assets and the actualization of the very high ambitions we hold for our national economy. On this note, therefore, I formally inaugurate this special ad hoc committee and declare this public hearing open.
Rivalry amongst regulatory agencies on whose authority takes precedence, insecurity, infrastructural deficits, high tariffs, shallow depth of channels, and long distances between the ports and the ferry buoy, amongst other issues, were gathered as major challenges. In moving forward, NIMASA is collaborating with sister agencies to develop a 24/7 surveillance initiative known as the Deep Blue Project towards combating insecurity in the maritime sector.
When the ministry realized the underutilization of the eastern ports, a committee was set up to identify the reasons why the eastern ports are not adequately utilized as envisaged, as well as to proffer solutions. In a nutshell, the reasons we found out were mainly generally security, centered around the issue of piracy, robbery, attack, kidnapping, and so on and so forth. Then the drafts in those ports are not well to the extent to be utilized, to be used by the ships, as well as there are deficit in major equipment that port require that will attract investors or people calling into to the ports to utilize those ports. And unfortunately also multiple charges by various agencies. Unfortunately, most of the agencies are not here. And then a lack of synergy and cooperation among even the government agencies, which unfortunately lead to scaring the